and welcome to this edition of A Life Less Serious, where we kind of reflect on where serious thinking gets in the way of our lives and how we can go beyond it. And I'm George, and I get to meet all these amazing people who have experienced this in their life, and we have a little conversation and share that with you. So today, I'm really happy to be joined with the lovely Bronwen Warner. So welcome, Bronwen.
Hey, George. Perfectly done.
Oh, that's very sweet. Not that I've got any thinking or serious thinking or self-consciousness at all about what I'm doing on the screen. Anyway, Bronwen has had a lot of experiences with different forms of serious thinking, shall we say, and she wrote about it in our lovely book, A Life Less Serious, and she also writes about it in other places, and she's a child's physiotherapist as well, and she's just got a wealth of wonderful energy and wisdom to share with us. So Bronwen, I'd love to hear like how kind of serious thinking has shown up in your life, and how it's affected you, and you know, and how you've seen beyond it, or what you see about it that's helpful.
Oh, thanks, George. It's really, really lovely to chat with you. And it was lovely to write in your book and to be part of this. So, seriousness. Let's take that question seriously. No, I mean, I'll tell you a little bit about my story. And, you know, sort of what I see about it now. So I'm a mum of two, and in 2014, so I think that's like 9 years ago now this year, I had a 2-year-old. My little girl was 2, and within the space of 5 months, I lost my grandmother. Then we lost my dad unexpectedly after emergency surgery. And then about 6 to 8 weeks after my dad died, my youngest brother was shot and killed during an armed robbery in South Africa. And then 6 weeks after that, I had my second daughter. So I was heavily pregnant at the time that all this was going on. And following that, you know, I hadn't really experienced grief, to be honest, up until that point. And then after the event, I spent a lot of time trying to be okay, thinking I wasn't okay and trying to be okay, shall we say. And through lots and lots of personal, so I guess I took life very seriously, interestingly enough. So it's a really, really weird thing, because I lost these people, and lost my brother. He was 32 at the time. I was 34. And it made me really think, oh my God, life is short. I've got to take it seriously. I've got to live life for both of us. I've got to make sure I'm living my purpose. I'm doing what I need to do, being the best I can be. And I guess in a way, I started taking it really, really seriously, and worrying that I wasn't, because I had this concept in my mind about what that would look like. So I went on this personal development journey, trying to, you know, be the best version of me that I could be, blah, blah, blah. And at the same time, I was struggling with, you know, there was enough professionals wanting to help label me as depressed and post-traumatic stress, and, you know, completely normal experiences, which I just didn't really want. They didn't fit with my serious decision now to take life seriously and be the best I could be. So, and along that journey, eventually I came to this conversation, which we talk about in the book, and you know, this understanding of how life works, and how experience is created. And what I saw in this conversation, I'm really so grateful for it, was two things really. The first was that I was so fixated on not feeling the crappy experiences. I didn't want to feel sad. I didn't want to think about what had happened. So I did everything I could to not think about this, and therefore not feel the pain. You know, my thing was eating. I got really, really busy. I did lots and lots of work stuff and I ate food. And obviously I had my life with my kids and everything, but I just got really busy, and in order to try not to feel what I thought was going to break me. So that was interesting in seeing that kind of, I was so focused on that side of it that I didn't really see the bits where it was up. I was so focused on the downs and the feeling down bit, but I didn't see the ups, which there were lots, you know. And I remember feeling guilty at times for laughing. How can I be laughing when this terrible things happen? But I had 2 small kids and life carried on, and it's impossible to actually stay stuck in the same experience all the time, because we naturally go in and out and up and down throughout our days and our months and our lives. And sometimes, yeah, it feels that we're down a bit more, but what's really interesting is seeing that actually our default is to come out of them, even if it's just for a moment, like a little laugh, a little smile, a little like, you know, even what am I going to have for dinner? Well, when you're busy thinking about what you're having for dinner, you're not busy thinking about the fact that I've lost these people, and that, you know, it's so terrible that I'm never going to see them again, and how am I going to cope, and how awful it is for my mum, and how awful it is for my kids that they won't know their grandfather and their uncle, and, you know, all that stuff. So, you know, I didn't know that that's what was happening. So for me, seeing that actually it was really normal to be going up and down, and that there was respite. Made me like, oh, I started becoming a little more interested in the respite, in the ups than the downs. And that was really cool to see. And the other thing that was fascinating in hindsight is this concept of having something in us that shows up and helps us when we need it. Almost like wisdom, you know, some people call it higher self, some people call it intuition, whatever the name is. But when I look back now, if somebody said to me, this is going to happen, you're going to have a phone call saying that your brother's been shot, what are you going to do? How are you going to cope with that? I would have been like, no, don't be stupid. I'm not going to cope with that ever, never in a million years. And yet, when it happened, I knew exactly what to do in the moment. You know, there were steps. I didn't have any thinking that day. You know, I just did what needed to be done. As a family, we did what needed to be done. My husband, you know, we went out to South Africa, my husband, me, and our 2-year-old. I was 6 weeks to go for having my second baby, and we managed to get doctor's permission and all that stuff. We just did it. We just did it. And it was so natural. And I'm not saying it was easy, but it was not from me thinking about it. If that makes any sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that to me blows my mind, because each time that happened, you know, like, and now when I look, all the sort of crisis points in my life, that's how it's worked.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had to figure it out. I've just done what needed to be done. And it really made me see that we've got like this little, I like to think of it as like a little emergency response team inside us that, like, it just knows what to do, when to do it, when you actually need it, you know. And then what happens is at some stage we stop relying on that, and we start, you know, we get in our heads. I got in my head and started thinking about, well, what does this mean about me? What does this mean about my life? What does this, you know, started really becoming a bit of a thought storm. That's when I started suffering, actually, because I wasn't living in the moment. I think that's the difference, is that when it happens, you can't help but be in the moment. And then at some point you start living in your head about the future and the past and what should have been and what has and all this stuff. So I think for me, seeing that was like, oh, well, I guess all the serious thinking in the world about what life's going to be like or should be like is it's a bit of a waste of time, really. Yeah. I don't know, does that kind of answer your question?
I think it does. Yeah, definitely. It does, because I think it points to that thing, like that, but for what's going, the noise up there, we kind of know what to do. And we forget that. And it's like in those extreme situations, things are happening, and things are always happening in spite of us, but in those situations it becomes even clearer. Whereas we can spend so much energy trying to anticipate for things, and you're thinking we have to work everything out, and actually we kind of, when it comes to whatever, we kind of, it's in us. It isn't it? Is that what you, is that what you were, is that part of what you were saying, or do you want to say any more on that? Or
yeah, no, that's exactly it. And I like to test it now, you know, and now I'm like, I know that even though I can be worrying about what I'm going to do for dinner all day, at some point I'll do something will turn up. You know, so it's not even in the serious things, it's in the everyday things. Like work, you know, I work with children, families of children who've got disabilities and additional needs, and you know, in work, that's just how work, I think most of us know that experience of flow, isn't it?
Yeah.
When we're working and we're just doing what we know to do and what makes sense.
Yeah.
Like that's it. More is like, actually that's available a lot more of the time. And I don't get me wrong, it's not like I live my life like this.
No.
When I come home, and this is it, when I come home, I can get really in my head about my kids' behavior and all that stuff. But just knowing that that's not how it works. I mean, I can get in the way, but it's still just going to unfold and happen as it, you know, and work out the way it's going to work out. I'm still going to know what to do when I need to.
And it's funny, it's like I when I'm thinking about you, I'm thinking about a work situation I had recently where I recently joined, where I've been working, and you know, I had to write like an impact report or something, and I'm very new, and I didn't know what I was doing, and in my head it was so funny. It was like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to do this, I don't know this, I don't know that, and then I'm typing away. And in my head, I'm going, I don't know what I'm doing. But something like words are appearing on the page. So at some level, in spite of what my head was telling me, it was happening irrespective of what I was telling myself. And I thought that was really funny, because like totally, you know, if you're in the next room to me, I am sorry, I admit it, I talk to myself when I'm working, and I you know, and if you hear me muttering away, that's what you would have heard, and you would have think, oh my God, she really doesn't know what she's doing. But in spite of myself, these things happen. And I think it's so funny, isn't it? It's like when we get that part of ourselves, like beyond that, like life, it's doing us anyway. And it's kind of like, I don't know if I'm expressing myself very well, but yeah, it's quite funny when you see it like that as well, because
yeah, for sure. And it helps to not take it so seriously, because I often, like, procrastinating is a big thing for me. You know, I know I need to do something, and I just won't do it. And I used to take that really seriously and really like have the conversation with myself about how useless it was that I did that. Whereas now I kind of know that at some stage I'll find myself doing the thing.
Yeah.
You know, at some stage the bathroom will be cleaned. You know, I'm never going to be one of these people that cleans it every day. It's never going to happen. But at some stage it gets clean. At some stage the piece of work gets done. It does, even if it's last minute, you know, it's like, well, that's just the way, it's just the way I work. You know?
It's funny, isn't it? It's funny, and it's sort of just, it's kind of a constant, isn't it? It's like, and that's why I love this conversation about seriousness, because to me, I relate to it. That's all I'm ever up against all the time, in and out every day, is my whatever serious thinking I'm having at that time, in whatever flavour, about whatever thing, and I'm only ever up against that, really, because the rest is up for grabs, but for whatever I'm buying into at the time. So, and that's why I love this conversation, because you know, it can apply so many things, and we've talked about grief and you know the experiences you had, and you were able to just see so much from that, you know, from such a dark place, and see that even in those situations, which is really, really incredible when you think about it.
I know, and I do sometimes sort of get in my head and like, I wonder what it would, I mean, God forbid anything happens. The thing is, unfortunately now, because I've experienced it, I kind of know it's going, you know, it's not like what am I trying to say? Sometimes sometimes I can get quite anxious and worried about the future and about the fact that I know these things happen and life isn't all tickety-boo, and my kids know a lot about it. You know, they know death happens. So death is quite a big conversation in our house, which just feels weird sometimes. But I know enough now to not take that so seriously and not think it means anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because also, you know, like if somebody else were to come into our house and like, oh my God, why is she thinking about death or whatever? You know, not me or my children. Why are you talking about that? Like, well, it doesn't really matter. It's natural. It happens. It's a conversation. It's not something to take so seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something else I was going to say, but that's what came up there. And I think, yeah, that's what you were saying. Like, we've got my daughter we're going through the process of looking at an assessment for autism and or ADHD. And it's so easy to forget that a lot of our expectations for how people should be comes from an outside in. It comes from society. It comes from other people. Like the teacher's expectations of my child, like I take those seriously.
Yeah.
I take them really seriously sometimes. Like I take it really seriously, my expectation that she should be able to sit still in a restaurant. And like I get really stressed out about that she can't do it. But then when I can step back and see, well, hang on, like who says she has to be able to sit still in a restaurant? Like that it's not really, you know, it's not a thing, is it?
No.
And to see that's it's still coming from me, because, you know, if I don't take it so seriously, then it doesn't really matter what the rest of the world thinks either.
Yeah.
I think I'm playing with that a lot more.
Yeah, I think I have a similar thing, and playing with that, and also seeing, like, if I don't take it so seriously, what would occur to me to do, or how would I be differently with my children or whatever if I was seeing it a different way?
Yeah.
And also I think there's another thing there, is like, we think that people think a certain thing, but we don't know. Like, we don't know, but we're like, oh, they've got to do this and they've got to be, but we don't know how everyone else thinks. We don't know. It's like all self-perpetuating, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so funny. And there's just so much that we make up that we hold as true that we don't know, especially about, I guess, what other people think, when really we never know what anyone else thinks. So
yeah, and linking that back to the grief thing, I think I spent a lot of time thinking about how other people, you know, thought I should be behaving, or you know, or thinking like I should be able to. Well, yeah, no, exactly what you just said though. We take on board what we think other people think and expect, and actually we don't know. We just don't know.
No.
You know? And people don't say things because they've got that going on in them, and then, you know, I made a story about that, like, oh, they just don't care. Whereas actually they just didn't know what, you know. And it's so interesting, isn't it? When you actually, that's why I think, again, like this conversation and seeing that we're all the same, we've all got the same stuff going on for us. The outside circumstance might look a bit different, but we're all creating it. And we've all got this inner wisdom
Completely
guiding us. It's really quite lovely.
It is. And I guess I'd like to sort of end by saying, you know, what does a life less serious mean to you?
What came up for me there is just more playing and testing things out.
Okay.
Play. I don't know. I suppose it means more. Playing with what I think is real. Questioning that, getting curious about that. Maybe. Having more fun. Just have more fun. And trust it. I think trust, yeah. So lots of sentences, because this is clearly too serious a question.
Do you think you could say it in one sentence? A life less serious means Do you think you could say in one sentence, a life less serious means the to me, or is it just
A life less serious means being less serious.
It's just simple, really, isn't it?
I know, totally. That's what it is, isn't it? Life is just improv. We don't have to take it so seriously. Just to take it, yeah, I can't really answer that question other than what I've said before, I suppose.
Fantastic. Oh, Bronwen, thank you so much for taking time to speak to us today. And yeah, it's really, I think it's been a beautiful conversation that's covered lots of different areas that hopefully a lot of people will be able to relate to in some form or flavour or other. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, George. Thank you so much.